Today we are going to look at one of the most successful and lovable poker vloggers out there, Mr. Rampage himself. Now recently he put out a vlog saying his biggest ever cash game win, and yours truly is a pretty big fan of Rampage. You know, he's a lovely guy. I always wish the best for him. I always hope that he's just going to absolutely crush souls, and I love to see him punt. So what is there not to love? And I was watching this episode, I was like, you know, I'm feeling good right now. I'm feeling like I could communicate some stuff. I had a few coaching tips that I wanted to give him. So I know that he watched the last one I made of him. So I'll just put it through the ether and see what happens. And if you guys can learn something along the way about how to crush these high stakes live cash games, all the better. Let's do it.
Early back in the day.
All right. Intro. Love to see it.
It's an Ames on the cutoff. Right. $50 shuttle on. It's a +1 open to $150. Early position player makes the call, and I call in the cutoff. So we see a flop in position.
All right. So it's gone raise, call. We've called in position,
which is ridiculous. Queen Jack.
There is 525 in the pot.
Queen Jack 9 2.
Oh, is it 10, 25, 15? I think you did your maths wrong, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's how the session's going to start off here. Under the gun player bets out $200. The early position player makes the call, and he...
Alright, so this hand is why I wanted to make the video, because I think this is extremely interesting. I think this hand separates the wheat from the chaff. So, are you wheat or are you chaff? What would you do here? It's got an open call. Bet 200. So, you know, just like not a huge size bet. Call. What are we going to be doing with the absolute nuts, with the clubs as well as a backup? Here's what will happen. The worst players will say raise. The next layer up of players will say call. And the best players will say raise. And here's why. The worst players will say, okay, I've got a straight. Let's fucking go. I'm going to raise my fucking hand. That'll be their thought process. The next level up players will be like, well, I know game theory says I got to be calling. Sometimes I can't be raising all my hands, and I got the clubs as blockers, so there aren't as many bad turn cards for me, so I got to keep this to make my calling range strong. Classic medium tier player kind of thought process. The best players, those 600 heads IQ people, they're going to be saying, okay, my opponents are repping very, very strong. He's c-bet into two people on an extraordinarily wet board. What is his range? Worst, probably something like king-queen, maybe ace-queen, maybe king-queen even checks. But then he has pocket queens, he has pocket jacks, he has 10-8 suited, he has pocket nines, he has queen-jack, he has jack-9, he has queen-9. All of which are going to be calling a raise. Maybe ace-queen will fold. And there's just so much value, and you just don't want to see a club, you don't want to see a king, you don't want to see a 10, you even don't want to see an ace, because that might make his two pairs look less juicy. So you want to be raising it up now, understanding that people just aren't going to be folding their sets. It doesn't matter if you don't have any bluffs here. It doesn't matter if your calling range isn't going to be strong in this. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this fantasy world of what your calling range is going to look like. Raise it up.
Raise it up because there's plenty of action. I have the nuts. I raise it up to $800.
Now, I'm going to give Rampage some credit. He doesn't put his whole thought process in on these vlogs. I'm sure he understood that he's getting value from hands like queens, jacks, jack 9, queen 9, 10, 8,
small enough to hopefully get both of the players in there, and yeah, the mission has been accomplished so far. I'm sitting with the nuts, and both players actually make the call. Let's see a turn, which is the 4 of spades. It's the exact kind of card I want. Money into the middle. They're both playing with about $6,000 to $7,000, so I decided to bet out 20.
Guys, what would you do here? What would you do here, and why? Let's say they're both playing $6,000 to $7,000, like Rampage says. It's very easy to get it all in. In fact, you could bet like 1,000 here and then shove a pot on the river against the 6K stack. So what are we going to be doing and why? So first of all, we have to be thinking, what is their range and what are we going to be doing about it? So they can have queens, jacks, nines. We're going to get the money invested in. They're probably even going to check shove queens and jacks. Maybe not nines. Maybe nines. It's close. Depends on the person. They might have queen, jack. They might be a fish, then they might have something like queen 10, jack 10, which we just have absolutely dominated. They have some nut flush draws, something even as strong as something like ace 8 of clubs, perhaps ace jack of clubs could be in there, something like that. And That's pretty much it for the stuff we're trying to get value from. So you have to say, okay, that is their range. And what would they call? That is the only thought process you want. What is their range? What we're going to do about it? We have a value hand, so it's what is their range? What will they call? What would Queen Jack call here? 2200 seems like a fucking good bet, to be honest. I think Ace Jack of clubs, Queen Jack, all the sets, they're 10-8, they're all just going to call 2200 or shove. I think once you start sizing up, it starts to be a little bit too much. I think that maybe not. Maybe you could even go something like 2300. It really does depend on the other player as well. Like if the other player's a whale that isn't going to be folding Jack 10 to 1500, maybe you can get away with betting 1500. It's hard to say without knowing the player types, but I think maybe something like 2500 could be good. Even though it makes stacks very obviously awkward on the river, they're just not going to be folding top two pairs. So what are you going to do about it? You know, what do you want from me? They're just going to call it, so I'm going to bet it.
2200. Complete brick turn, I size up, and the +1 player goes all in. Early position player folds. This guy has like 6,000 in front of him, so I snap call, of course. And up against 10-8 of hearts. Wow. Have him...
I've already seen the hand, so I can't act shocked, but nice hand.
He's a relatively tight player, in my opinion. I 3-bet to 600.
Okay, so we've got a tight player opening the cutoff with 3-betting the button to 600 from 150. Very big 3-bet in position. I got nothing against it, especially if it's the kind of like normal 3-bet sizes people are using these live things. But just so you know, something like 500 would be a lot more standard. 4x is in position is definitely, it's getting up there on the very large side.
Small blind. Player to my left. He 4-bets to 1650. This is Action City.
That is the stuff that wet dreams are made of, my friend. Congratulations on that moment you just experienced in your life.
Folds around to the cutoff, who thinks for a long time, and then ends up calling the 1650.
Boom! Easy spot. What are we going to do here, boys? Such a beautiful spot, if you ask me. It's gone raise, we 3-bet, cold 4-bet, cold call. First of all, we have to put our opponents on some kind of range. I'd say the small blind's got something like ace, jack, ace, queen, aces, kings, queens, jacks, maybe tens. Tens probably just call. And then the cutoff has such a tight range. Like that guy has sometimes aces, probably not aces. Sometimes kings, probably not kings, but then just a lot of like pocket queens, pocket jacks, ace king, maybe pocket tens. Like it's such a tight range. It's actually a very, very nice situation to be able to put him down to even like one hand by the time we get to the river. If we get to the river. So what are we going to be doing here? Personally, I'm always raising. I'm always getting the money in here. You just don't want to see an ace-high flop. Sometimes you get bluffed off the best hands. Sometimes you let something like ace-5 suited, ace-queen offsuit get there. And the cool thing is that this cutoff guy, he's probably just going to call off with his pocket queens. Maybe his pocket jack. So I think, and maybe his ace king as well. So I think there's definitely so much value to be gotten. You don't want to see an ace or a king high flop and lose money against jacks or queens. Obviously, king high is not the worst thing in the world for us, but it might mean that we lose money from jacks and queens. And if he does have ace king and it comes low, 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 then we're not going to stack him. So get the money in now.
Oh boy. I personally never really 5-bet.
This is why I wanted to make the video. Rampage. Sometimes in life, there's an ancient Chinese proverb that actually taught me this from a very young age. Sometimes in life, you must 5-bet. It is sometimes good. Ancient Chinese proverb. It's really stuck with me a long time since I was a kid. But it's sometimes 5-betting is the one, man. Sometimes 5-betting is just the best play. So you can't have this idea. I don't recommend having this idea in your mind of I'm not the kind of person that 5-bets, just because every poker situation is absolutely unique. And if you think in these kind of lump sum concepts that can't be broken and can't be bent, you're going to be missing out on a lot of money. So just a little coach's advice here. 5-bet your kings when there's a guy that just has fucking queens all the time.
And considering that I'm in position here, I don't think I need to do it. The small blind player has about $8,000 behind, cut off with $5,000 behind. So essentially, I'm hoping.
So there's like 4K in the bot. So there's like 2 SPR, and there's gonna be less if we call. So yeah, with 4K in the pot, we're also happy for 2 folds. Just get it in, my friend. Come on, get it in there.
Pray for no ace on the flop. So let's freaking run it. The pot is building almost 5,000 in the middle. I make the call, and the flop is 9-4 deuce 2 diamonds. Small blind. Seems like my buddy hates money because he throws out a bet of $2,000.
Just so you guys know, $2,000, whatever he has, probably a bad bet. You can size down on these boards in these kind of spots. I can't think of a single hand that I'll go that size with. Yeah, aces you want to go smaller, bluffs you want to go smaller, so whatever.
He's about 6,000 behind, and the
maybe like ace five of diamonds. That size makes some sense.
He commits his hand into the middle. He goes all in this 4-bet pot here. I just can't really imagine anyone.
Well, we've already done the range analysis on this guy's range, so this guy's just got queens or jacks or whatever. This guy, no idea what he's got. Let's dodge aces.
In this position, maybe pocket nines could make sense, but no one's going to have deuces or fours. So basically, just hoping to not run into aces. So when the cutoff goes all in for about 5,100, I'm happily going to rejam. Stacks are committed here. Small blind thinks about it for a long, long time, and it seems like he wants to make the call, but ends up folding. Saying he had 7 deuce. The 7 deuce game is on.
So I actually didn't know the 7 deuce game was on before I watched this for the first time. This is where I stopped the video to make this video. With the 7 deuce being on, it makes a little bit more sense to be calling the kings, but still I don't think it pushes anywhere near to the decision that you want to be calling instead of 5-betting. Imagine if it came fucking ace high and he just bluffs you off it. Imagine, huh? And he shows you the 7 deuce. Nah, you just got to get in kings. Aces, I can see a little bit more of an argument. Even aces, though, I'd still just shove.
So he folds 7 deuce, and I show my hand, and the cutoff has pocket jack.
What a surprise!
Pretty sick cooler, overpair versus overpair, and the turn comes a 7. Oh my god, if 7 deuce actually called, it would have been a disaster. Fade the jack.
Nice hand, my friend. Nice hand, my friend. Okay, so this is where I haven't actually seen anything more. Nice, true classic. Go check out his ads, stuff like that. Use code Rampage. Nice one, nice one.
$75. Cutoff makes the call, and I have a playable.
Low jack opens, cutoff calls. We've got king 9 in the big blind. We're calling.
King probably could fold this one sometimes, but I'm here to battle. No one likes nit. I make the call. And the
get out of here with that fold sometimes.
9 all diamonds. I have a pair. I have the nut flush draw. Unfortunately, action's going to check around. Turn comes a brick 4 here.
All right. So the question is, in these kind of situations, do we turn our hand into a bluff? Or do we try and take the 9 to showdown? And it's actually not that easy to gauge. For me, and like personally, my first reaction is to try and check raise bluff this, and try and get something like imagine somebody sitting there with like ace 10 of clubs, and they might check the flop for some pot control. And then if we check again, they'll bet. I'll probably just fucking go huge. Just try and fold out ace 10 of clubs on the fucking turn, and then just give up river. Or something along those lines. And then if it does just check around 3 times, sometimes we just win.
And when action checks to the low jack once again, he now bets out $150. The cutoff makes the call, and now I'm out of position sitting.
Yeah, so this is a good situation for a raise, I'd say. King of Diamonds, obviously very important. I'm not a big blocker fan myself, but this is one of the situations I'd actually pay some attention to it. And having some outs to improve against any hand is also very useful. So yeah, I'd probably just make it like fucking 1k here. We're up against 2 pretty capped ranges most of the time. And yeah, just fucking try and take it down.
With the King of Diamonds, given the action checked through on the flop, I can't imagine both of these players to be too strong. And I think I'm going to check raise here and hopefully win this one. I think I should get a lot of credit to have suited combos here in the big blind. And it's nice to have the king.
Very good point. I don't know if they're thinking about how many suited combos you have in the big blind, but we do. It's more important if they will believe that we do, but if you think that they will, fucking go for it.
Well, so I check raise to $700.
I like it. I would say that often in these kind of situations, I don't know about Rampage's games specifically, people don't choose their sizes very precisely. There isn't much finesse around their check raising sizes and their raising sizes and stuff like that. They kind of just go for a standard size. And the reason I think bigger here is actually quite a bit better is that we just get so many instant folds on the river. We just get so on the turn. So we just get so many like ace 10 of clubs to just be like, oh, yeah, it's like a fucking huge bet. Like with something like ace 10 of clubs here against 700, I think a lot of people would be able to justify a call. But I think against 1,000, almost nobody will. And I think we'll only start getting called by the 2 pair plus kind of hands, or maybe like ace queen with the queen of diamonds if that decided to check the flop, which often it wouldn't.
Hoping to just get my bluff through, but only the cutoff player makes the call. So
cutoff player, so it's the guy that called pre. Right.
This player checked back on the flop and now only called.
So when he decides to call here, I'd be a little bit worried about pocket fours. But he didn't raise the turn, so it's a little bit less likely. And then the rest of his hands are all just fucking like ace-x. They're getting sticky against the 700 size, so let's fucking go for it.
This low jack bet, so can't imagine him to be too strong. We're off to a river, which is another brick. It's a 6. Think now it's time to just apply maximum pressure on a capped range.
Love it.
I throw out a hefty bet of 2,200.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I don't know what kind of player we're up against, but I don't think he will be able to call here unless he has something like pocket fours or something ridiculous like ace four.
And immediately this player grabs chips.
Fuck.
That's not good news for me. It doesn't seem like this bluff is going to work. And it doesn't. As he tosses in a call, I show my bluff, and he shows queen deuce of diamonds.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm just gonna get my ratings out of 10 here. Rampage, I think he played this like a fucking boss. I think he played it like 9.5 out of 10. I think the turn sizing definitely could be improved upon. That's just my personal preference. Queen deuce of diamonds, I think played it pretty fucking bad on all streets apart from the turn and the river. So yeah, pre-flop bad, flop bad. Very interesting though, he does manage to get the absolute maximum amount of Rampage, and against hypothetical Charlie sitting at the table, he gets even more. So well done.
He only has the second nuts. The whole commentary.
Actually, maybe not, because I probably would have gone a huge turn and then given up river.
You can tell, I thought he was weak. I thought he was capped. Just gotta laugh this one off and say, nice hand to him. Pretty funny way of how he played it, but you win, man. All right, straddle is...
Great attitude, by the way. This is why I'm very happy that Rampage succeeds in his YouTube career. He has a very positive attitude, and that spreads like a wildfire.
Back on, and a big hand I have here. Ace-king in the cutoff, and there are 2 players who limp to $50. Time to put in the raise, time to isolate...
All right, what size are we going? 2 limps to 50. We have ace-king. I'd actually go smaller here with aces and bigger here with ace-king. Not too drastically, though, because we're just going to get called quite a huge amount of the time anyway. So I'd probably go something like... Depending on my image, if I'm me, I go something like 350. If I'm somebody else, I'd probably go something like 300.
The limps, I raised it up to 250. And action folds around. Only the player to my right makes the call. So
there's actually no right or wrong answer about how big to go there, as long as you're not going something like 150 or whatever. It depends on the player dynamics. It depends how often you think they're limp calling. There's too many variables to say what's correct or incorrect. But personally, usually in these kind of situations, I'll go bigger just because people call anyway, so why not?
We're going to a flop heads up here, which comes ace 10 8. Who would have thought? I don't whiff flops here these days. He checks it over to me, and I decide to bet $300.
All right, interesting sizing, $300, guys. What are we doing and why? Now, here's exactly what you want to be thinking. What is my opponent's range? I'm going to keep drilling this into your head until you get it. And what am I going to do about it? And by the way, a little ad here. I've just started packaging up my content on my website, charliecarrel.com. There is over 200 hours of footage of me teaching and playing, all packaged into one fucking package on charliecarrel.com. Go check it out if you like the way I teach poker. So, $300 is an interesting size. I want to be thinking, what is my opponent's range and what am I going to be doing about it? So my opponent's range on this board can be air, obviously. You can have ace-x, you can have 10x, you can have 8x, not too much 8x. Then he can have king, queen, king, jack, very relevant. You can have jack, 9, queen, jack, very relevant. So I'm kind of grouping these different types of hands. And then he can have 2 pair plus. Not thinking about that too much. Unless he starts raising, then we'll think about it a little bit more. So, what are we going to be targeting? Personally, I'm probably going to be targeting something like king jack on this board. I want to make sure that something we have almost drawing dead is going to still be calling. And then also by going that size, we'll probably get a call by 8x and 10x as well. So I'll probably actually size down a little bit here. Usually I'll go big with my value hands against recreational players, but I think in this exact spot, I'll probably go a little bit smaller. If the pot is 635, I might go something 220, something along those lines, $225
on this board, and for $300, he makes the call. Now going to a turn which is the king of hearts. How sick is this?
So he might have all 16 combos of queen jack, very worth noting. But then he just has so much stuff that we're beating. it's hard to get loads of value from loads of stuff here. We just have to kind of hope they have something like King, Queen, King, Jack, Jack 10, like a pair and a straight draw kind of hands. Maybe something like Jack 10 of hearts would call a lot. And then maybe something like Ace 9, Ace Jack, something along those lines as well.
Improving the top 2 pair. He checks for a second time, and I think...
So sizing-wise, I think we just got to go big and hope he has one of those hands. I'll probably go something like 800. Again, can't go huge here. I think once we start going huge, we're only getting called by 2 pair or better, or maybe the pair and flush draws as well. So I think something like 800 works.
It's time to polarize here on this board. It hits me a ton, and I should have a lot of air sometimes, or a very, very strong hand like this with...
Don't know what kind of air you're there with. Let me try and think of one hand. No, I got nothing.
Top 2 pair. So I decided to bet
8, 9 hearts.
$1,200 here, just trying to commit stacks into
I don't like it. I think, again, this shows a very good understanding of maybe some of the theory of poker. But in essence, you're playing against a human being, especially one that's over limping and calling a 5x raise is probably going to be a weaker player. You have to be thinking about their range and how they're going to be reacting to this kind of sizing. And I think if we're trying to target some of those King Jack kind of hands, Ace Jack kind of hands, I don't think going 1200s is the one.
And this player thinks about it for a while, grabs $1,200 in his hand from his stack, and then announces all in.
Oh, fuck.
What? I almost
For how
snap
much?
call here.
Yeah, don't.
Okay?
That's an almost snap call kind of moment. That's a. Oh, let me just check how much
But
is
then
it.
the issue is that out of the corner of my eye, I look at this player's stack. It is so much money. I ask for a count before I ultimately decide whether I want to call or not. But, you know, I'm leaning towards a call with top 2 pair. It ends up being 81.
Alright, it's a snap fold, I'm afraid. if he's ballsy enough to do this with Jack 10 of hearts, fucking hats off to him. But with 90% of players, this is Queen Jack. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not even going to ask you what you do at home. I'm not going to give you a chance to burn your own money. Snap fold, top 2 pair, move on, pretend we had a bluff. Let's go.
$100 total. What? I normally hate folding, obviously. And top 2 pair is obviously one that I don't want to fold ever. But the only time I saw this player go all in the session was with a set of 5. So
yeah, honestly, even if he does it for like 4,000s, like you can consider folding here. If he's the kind of player that's pretty tight, he's probably not even going to be shoving his like King 10s on the turn. And he's probably not going to be shoving his Jack 10 of hearts. So I think even for something like 4,000, it's a fold. For 8,100, seems like a snap fold.
Like I said, what hands can he even have here? Queen Jack was double gutted on the flop, so maybe that could be very reasonable. He could also have limped.
Oh, the poor cards, dude! Stop it! Oh my god! Get this man fucking stress ball or something.
I guess let's look at some bluffs. You
Stop it!
SX combo
He's out of control.
Or I don't know what could possibly happen. Maybe a worse 2 pair as well. But I just lose to so little here because I.
This is what happens, and then someone sees the deck and is like, "Man, somebody needs to be marking the aces." It's like, no, that guy's just fucking stressed about the 6x pot shove.
Pretty much only lose to pocket 8s or Queen Jack. The only issue is that this all-in is so big compared to the size of the pots, and I just can't imagine Queen Jack to be doing this, right? Queen Jack is the nuts. You kind of want to get paid. You want to milk me in instead of just going all in a massive way. So
Fish, man. They just want to get it in.
Who knows? I'm a sucker. I'm not good enough to fold this one, so I stick my hand in there for a call. The player says he has Queen Jack. Shit! Yeah. That is not good, and he shows it. He wants to run it twice, though, so... Here I am. I'm always happy to run it twice, no matter how
good luck, man. Good luck.
I am, and we're off to 2 rivers. The river first one is a king.
Let's go!
Let's go! No way! Hit the 4-outer on the first run out. The second river is a brick, and Bink City for me.
There we go. Rampage got his money back where I wouldn't have. Yeah. So he had the Queen Jack offsuit. He had 16 combos of the Queen Jack. I think this is an extremely big punt. It definitely looks like an okay play from the outside to a non-expert's point of view, but just when you work out what you're up against, 16 combos of Queen Jack is already probably like 16 times as many bluffs that he has than bluffs. So yeah, it's a very, very big punt. Don't just pay attention to your hand strength. You have to pay attention to the relative hand strength versus your opponent's range.
But it is a chopped pot. Maybe I should have just ran it once because a lot of money would have gone my way. But
that is truly the lesson you should be taking from. If anything, you should have learned from this hand is should have run it once.
No blood here. Nice hand to my opponent. Chop up a $16,000 pot, and we are even. There's an early position player who limps, and this player have a note that he just lost a really.
Where are these games? We gotta go playing some of these games. It's crazy.
Big pot in the hand right before by bluffing. So all isolating this player, I'm in position, and the flop is sick. Jack to call. Isolating this player, I'm in position, and the flop is.
Oh, we raised to 200. Got it.
Sick. Jack 8-3 2 diamonds. Sitting with top set is just the life. Who said there's no right way to play jacks here? He checks it over to me, and I decide to bet on the smaller side, 125.
I dig the sizing. Give him a chance to call with fucking 7s and 6s and stuff like that. Stuff that he's just absolutely drawing dead with. Give him a chance to float some king 10 of diamonds. There's some queen 10s in there maybe. Might decide to check raise. I love the small sizing. Maybe even ace 10.
This opponent makes the call.
Hard to get too much value.
The 5 of clubs. So.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough turn card to get too much value from. We just have to hope he has fucking pocket 5s or some like club combination, like ace 10 of clubs.
So not a whole lot here. Brick turn.
Maybe he has a jack. I feel like we just have to size up at this point and just fucking hope. Try and go size at something like 10-9 is going to be calling, but isn't going to be getting the right price. Maybe something like 550. And he might get sticky with an 8. He might get sticky with pocket 9s. He might have club combos, and he might have pocket 5s.
Size up, trying to get some value here against who knows what he could have, to be quite honest with you. I bet $500 because I have top 7. And it's a strong hand. Anyways, music to my ears.
Let's go. It's check raising.
To 1,500.
This guy just has this fucking set, huh? How deep are we? If we're like ridiculously deep, we just 3-bet. If we're not, and it depends how aggressive he is, but people just never bluff these spots, huh? Like, people hate to bluff in spots where it looks like they're repping nothing but a set. You know, like, what is he going to be repping? Fucking 8-5? Nah, he's got a value hand, so we're probably just raising him.
This night just keeps on getting better and better, right? What a dream with top set, facing a check raise. Don't think I have anything to do here. I don't want to shut out his bluffs, and to be honest with you, I think he only has bluffs because I block all the...
Oh, okay. Well, if he's the kind of player that has a lot of bluffs, I stand by your decision to call. Most people don't have bluffs here, but I stand by your decision if that's
draw heavy board. Let's hope for a blank. I make the call, and the pot is building. We're off to a river now, which is the 10 of diamonds.
Nice.
That is not great here.
What? What are we scared of? The 9-7? 9-7's definitely a double gut shot, but there's only 4 combinations of them, maybe not even that, because he might not even play that like that pre-flop. And then there's the queen 9s, which I do not think play like this unless it's maybe queen 9 of clubs. So I think we're safe, dude. I think it's a very good river. I think, yeah. If you're asking for better than the 10 of diamonds, you're asking a little bit too much.
To be quite honest with you, the board is pretty connected. All the draws get there, straight draws, flush draws, and such. And this opponent decides to bet out $2,000.
Straight draws, flush draws, and such get there. Interesting.
With about $6,000 to $7,000.
All right, so he had 10,000s on the turn. Yeah, you got to raise the turn, dudes. He can just have a set a huge amount of the time. So I think, obviously, shoving now. I'm not even going to give you guys a decision point. We're just getting the money in versus set, and nobody's folding a set. But I think the interesting decision was on the turn, and I think 3-betting the turn makes a lot more sense.
Behind, and I'm sitting in this spot. I have top set. It's a pretty good hand, but this board is pretty damn scary.
What's going on? Are we seeing the different boards? Has he got the graphics wrong? It's the 10 of clubs or something.
Idea whether I can just call this bet or I should just go all in, because look, the 10 of diamonds only brings in a flush. It does bring in some.
There must be another diamond or something that he's got the graphics wrong.
Straight draws, but I don't think those straight draws will necessarily check raise on the turn here. If he has a straight, then it's a huge cooler. If he has a flush, then I'm really bad at poker, but I want to go for max value. The issue is, I don't know what worse could possibly call.
What's that?
Oh well, let's cross that road when we get there. I announce all in, and he calls quickly. Oh wow, that really can't be good, right? I flip him over my pocket jacks, and he shows pocket fives.
Let's go.
The set. What?
There's only 2 diamonds. That's the 3 of hearts. It's the 8 of clubs. It's 5 of clubs. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about with flushes, dude, but yeah, always shoving, and interesting decision point was on the turn, and I'd like to say my range. I haven't seen this video, I swear on my life, but I haven't seen this hand. I saw the first couple of hands, but this is yeah. I think our range analysis kind of holds true there, and people just have it when they check raise on these kind of boards. You have to really get in the mindset of other players. Like, do they want to be bluffing in a situation where it looks like they can't really have anything? Probably not. Most people don't bluff like that, especially people that are limp calling pre. When they limp call, they're very pocket bet heavy. They have lots of pocket eights, pocket threes, pocket fives. So yeah, we have to be raising the turn, which is again is a very unintuitive thing. And I think a lot of the good poker players won't do it, and a lot of the great poker players will. But we just really don't want to see something like the 7 of clubs come out on the river, the 9 of clubs come out on the river, or any club come out on the river, because then we probably don't stack the set.
Incredible freaking cooler, but not for me. I am on an absolute heater of a lifetime this session.
Congratulations,
wow, set
by the way.
over set as he turns it, and I guess he celebrates because the very next deal, I pick up pocket kings in the cutoff.
That's a nice life. This kind of reminds me of when I used to play all the time. Just fucking cooler after cooler people, and then just
also
picking up
quite a good hand. I'm
time.
still trying to collect my chips together, and here I am. The hijack player to my right opens it up to $150. I am in here. I have 3-bet to 600.
Alright, that's a standard 3-bet size. I dig it.
My hijacked opponent makes the call. Heads up to a flop, which comes queen 5-6 to.
Again, I'm just going to go through quickly. What is their range? What are we going to do about it? On these kind of boards, I'm probably just targeting like the pocket 7s on the flop. And then on the turn, I'm maybe even on the flop. No, okay, I'll go for pocket 7s on the flop to keep in some like relatively small sizes in our range, so it looks like we have a bluff. And then on the turn, I'm just going to maximize versus a flush draw or a queen. So I'll probably go something like 600 on the flop and then huge on turn and river if it breaks out.
Spades. Yeah, over pairs, safe flop for kings here. He checked over to me, and I decided to bet out $800.
It's fine.
And for $800, once again, I'm getting value. I'm getting paid. He makes the call. Turn comes the 6 of clubs. It pairs the middle card, which is nice. It brings in a backdoor flush draw as well. And when he checks over to me for a second time, definitely want to plan for an all-in on the river here. So I decided to bet out $1,000.
I do not like the size, my friends. Imagine that guy sitting there with like queen, jack of spades, you know, or something like ace 5 of clubs. Imagine how happy he is to see that $1,000 bet. Imagine how much he's praising the name of Rampage in his mind to see that $1,000.
And don't need to plan for an all-in on the river because he decides to just go all-in himself. He jams like 3,000 or 3,500. Call with my kings. He wants to run it twice. This is the same opponent that I sucked out on. And I'm in. I run it twice. There are no spades on the both rivers, and I show my hand. It's good. I win. That's it. I don't need to make this opponent show a worse hand than me. I'm not that guy. Things are just going way too well for me so far. I stacked 2 opponents back to back, showing monster.
Congratulations again, my friend.
Hands. I have pocket 8s on the dollars and make the call here at this table. If I have a hand, I raise it up to 250, and both players make the call. Limping here at this table if I.
Oh, with straddle. Got it.
I raise it up to 250, and both players make the call.
Got it. So it's 2 limps. We raise 250, and he calls. And 2 calls.
We're in position to a flop, which comes ace, ace, deuce, rainbow. Action checks over to me here, and with pocket 8s, I think I should be betting a lot of the time. But
none of this a lot of the time nonsense. We're betting here either none of the time or all of the time. None of this a lot of the you don't need to be thinking about frequencies. How often have you played this spot where it goes limp, 5x, call, ace, ace, deuce, and we have pocket 8s? How often has that ever happened in your life? Probably 0. So you don't need to be thinking about frequencies. You do what's best in a vacuum for this kind of situation. You don't need to be thinking about, am I betting too often here with my pocket 8s? You know, do I need to be doing it 33% of the time, 38% of the time? Just fucking make your mind up based on the theory of poker and the situation at hand.
In game, I decided to mix in a check, considering that we're multi-way and maybe someone could have an ace.
Guys, if you're sitting behind your screen right now, your phone, sitting there half paying attention, just go. Bring yourself back to the moment and give Rampage a little bit of a gentle turn.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. The turn is a bink 8.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You cannot make this up, right? You literally would think I'm making up these hands if I didn't have video, but here I am.
Funny.
Small blind player bets out $400. Big blind folds, and I decided to just make the call here.
I'm not going to give any verbal reaction to this. I'm just going to give a facial expression.
Wanted to play a little bit passive as I don't think I have any bluffs by raising, so trying to stay a little bit balanced. My hand is clearly disguised with a full house. We're off to a river, which comes a 10. Very inconsequential card.
Dodge
I don't
ace
think
10,
he has
let's go.
pocket 10s here ever, and if he has ace 10, then that really sucks for me. Anyways, he continues with another bet again of $700, and clearly it's...
Alright, so we just have to think about a size to go that ace is going to call. Let's pretend he's just got ace 5, for instance. I don't know what the correct answer is. Rampage doesn't know. You guys don't know. Your guess, it's not as good as mine, but it's going to be up there. You know, it's very intuitive to just understand how much a recreational player or a professional player, let's assume he's a recreational player, will call if he has something like ace 5, ace 6, ace 7, ace 9, ace jack, whatever. And my guess is going to be something around 3,200.
It's time to raise. Duh. And obviously, I'm only getting called by an ace, so I decided to raise on the larger size.
Love it.
Like I said, I only get called by aces here, and I think they...
May I just say that this 100% goes against your idea on the flop and turn, where you're talking about balancing and not having enough bluffs on the turn to be raising and stuff like that. You also wouldn't want to raise this size as a bluff on the river because, like you said, he's got an ace a lot, and you're only getting called by an ace. So you probably... Yeah, it's just like you're mixing up your exploitative mindset and your game theory mindset. Pick one or the other, and I would strongly recommend the exploitative one when you're playing in these games. You don't need to be thinking about what kind of bluffs you have in these different kinds of situations. If somebody has ace jack on the turn and you raise, they're not going anywhere. If they have ace 5 on the turn, you raise, they're not going anywhere. So just bump up the pot. You know, imagine we raised to like 700 on the turn, and now we can go absolutely ginormous on the river, and we're going to be making so much more money.
I can call any amount considering my image, and
sorry, 700 is not what I meant to say. Maybe like 1,200 on the turn. I forgot what he bet.
Here I am. I decided to raise and size up to $3,500.
Love it.
If he decides to re-raise on top of this, I really would hate my life. But immediately he doesn't look happy, so I'm winning this pot. Surprise, surprise, and you know what's more surprising? Actually, not surprising.
He goes.
Ends up calling,
I knew it.
Clearly with an ace.
I guess based on what you said.
And I am steamrolling right now.
That's nice.
Literally,
dude. I'm happy for him. That must be a good feeling.
winning every pot and making every pot super big, and that's not a bad way to end off the night, to be honest. After sunrunning for so long, I decided that it's time to call it the session here. Let some other people have a chance to win some pots.
That was a sexy looking stack.
I rack up. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up
How
the
much did you win?
session. Just a ridiculously damn well at $30,000. I was out of the game for a whopping $55,000.
Congrats, dude. That's fucking amazing. So, just to summarize, I'm going to say that he played very, very well in a lot of different situations. Rampage's thought process wasn't quite consistent enough. I think that he was only sometimes thinking about his opponent's range and what to do about it, and often his mind was getting a little bit too fuzzy with things like balancing and things like frequencies and protection or whatever it's going to be. And you can see in a lot of those situations that he was probably or definitely missing out on a lot of value. And it's very difficult to look at maybe like the best session that you've had and look at it with like a critical tooth comb, but it is still very important to be extremely analytical of the wins as well as the losses. Now, another big one is that ace-king versus queen-jack hand that we saw. And again, it's one of those situations where I think a very seasoned version of Rampage in a few years' time will look back at that hand and be like, I understand why that was a fold. And a lot of the top players will be able to make that fold very, very easily. However, the GTO players won't because they're like, top of my range, yeah, what am I going to do? And, I mean, maybe even GTO-wise as a fold, it's like, it's going to be close. Probably not, but it's going to be it's a big fucking shove. And then also the very good exploitative players are going to be able to make that fold as well, just because they understand people aren't going to turn up bluffs there anywhere near enough of the time, and it's just so often going to be queen-jack specifically. So I would say that if I were Rampage's coach, I would be like, good fucking job. First of all, on the run good. And second of all, on the kind of intuition that you have around how to play against your opponents. When you're thinking in terms of exploitative poker, you seem to be coming up with very, very good decisions. I really like the bluff that you made with King 9 with the King of Diamonds. That was fantastic. It shows a good understanding of poker. It obviously didn't work out, but who cares? You know, it can't be results oriented. And I love the attitude that you have as well, being grateful for your wins, being positive about your results, spreading positivity, and not feeling bad for yourself when you get caught bluffing and stuff like that. I think that's a very underrated thing, and especially when you have a YouTube channel, I'm very, very happy that that exists out there in the ether. I would say just be very, very careful with not bringing in too much conflicting thought processes with your game. Like with the pocket eights, when you're raising on the ace ace deuce boards, on ace ace deuce 8-10 boards, on the turn you have to be raising there. You could be getting such a bigger pot with the other set that you had, the pocket jacks. With the other guy is pretty much only repping a set, and he probably just means he has a set. Again, you're missing a lot of value there by not raising the turn and potentially not stacking someone on the river if a club came. So really do pay attention to these kind of things and try and improve as you go forwards. One last reminder, guys, the most beautiful kind of coaching content you could ever imagine on charliecarrel.com. Over 200 hours of footage available at your doorstep. I turned fucking $50 into $10,000 and streamed every single fucking second out there. Every single second. And you can go watch me, and you can go replicate it, and you can go do the exact same thing. Beautiful people. That was a bit too close to a Nazi salute, but from this angle it's not, but from your angle it looked like one. I'm going to try that again. Beautiful people, Scouts on it. It's been a pleasure. See you.